if you're listening to this right now, two things have happened. You have either correctly put in the verification code that you found at the bottom of your Lucky Charms this morning, or you've made a terrible mistake. It's probably both, but here we are. My name is Daniel. This is a stupid, silly little recording podcast thing. We'll talk about marching activity and all sorts of stuff like that. Uh, I'll give you a brief introduction about concerning who I am. If you're listening to this, you probably found a link on TexasBands.com. I do some of the live blogging for the Bands of America events that go on in the state of Texas, including Grand Nationals. And that's basically how I'm involved in the site. I don't typically post in the forums very much anymore, but who knows, maybe that'll change if this little recording decides to gain some legs. But yeah, I've been with the site probably, 10 years or something like that. But most of my content producing goes towards the live blog, and I'm sure some of you all listening to this right now are like, what the hell? He's putting, I can hear his voice again. It's back. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm pretty sure you can look through some of the live blog stuff in the past that TexasBands.com has been asked to do by Bands of American Music for All, and of course we're extremely grateful for that opportunity. And you can kind of see how I view the activity. So, let's preface this first little episode. And again, I don't know how long this is going to be. This may be a one-off thing. This may be a thing that I do every couple of days or every week. That's going to depend on you guys. Whatever you decide you want me to do, I'll do it. No big deal. So, let's just jump right into this. August 1st rolled around. Again, by the way, this is going to be for students. This is going to be for fans. This is going to be for parents. I'm going to be talking about this sort of. I'm going to be talking about a range of stuff concerning each one of those little pockets of people that make up the activity. I'll be talking about stuff those students may only understand, or stuff that parents may be concerned about, or fans just generally want to know. And I'll try to point that out as I go along. And again, I don't know how long this is going to be. Who the heck cares? There may be some questionable language involved. I will try to control it. But honestly, I like to just hit record, and whatever comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth. So I apologize in advance for any racy language that happens. Let's jump into this. August 1st just happened. It was actually yesterday. I spent most of the day on a train from a nondescript location going back to my home. I live in the DFW Metroplex area, but I am originally from San Antonio, Texas. And yes, I do miss the Mexican food. I miss it a lot. August 1st rolled around, which means one thing and one thing only in the state of Texas, other than it's 1,000 degrees and, the state of Texas is located a quarter mile from the sun. UIL has decided to let every marching band in the state of Texas is allowed to learn marching formation drills, visual drills, depending on how old you are. You can start learning them starting August 1st. That is the day. Before then, you're not allowed to learn anything except music. By the way, I don't know if you know this, and I'm reading this directly from the site. Quote, UIL has no rules that address practice time, music, or marching for marching bands between August 1st and the first week of school in late August. Any restrictions or guidelines are determined by the school district. Parents, I'm talking to you. You ever wonder why all of a sudden you have those practices on August 1st, and all of a sudden your kid's there for 12, 13 hours until the first day of school? That's why. So basically, it's Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome here. August 1st until the beginning of school, you basically get to practice as much as you want. So yes, directors are going to take advantage of that. They're going to utilize that time to try to get most of the show learned. That's a huge advantage. Because I know some programs that year after year after year don't get their music and their drill, well, the closers to their music and their drill, they don't get them until 2 or 3 weeks before their last contest. Now, that's gotten better over the past couple of years. There's a lot more open lines of communication between your directors and your design staff, the people who write the music and the people who write the drill. It used to be. I'll tell you this directly. There were times when I was in high school at a pretty, I would say, decent marching band program in San Antonio when we didn't get all of our drill and all of our music on time. And that happens a lot more often than you think. And it happens a lot even to some of the best programs, not only in the state of Texas, but in the United States as well. So keep that in mind. They're going with what they have, and it's just going on full force. 100 degrees outside, hey, you know what? Give them tons of water breaks. After school starts, then you get your 8 hours. The big 8-hour rule in the state of Texas. 8 hours of practice starting every week, starting on the first day of school. You get 8 hours, that's it. That's why your rehearsals are only about 2 hours long. Now, different programs have different ways of doing it. Some programs like to do practices in the morning. Some programs like to do practices in the evening. I personally prefer the evening practices. I don't know why. It's just what we did when I was in school. You get 1 extra hour if you have a contest that week or if you have a football game that week. So technically it's 9 hours. But you got to use that hour as for warm up or whatever during either a contest day or a football game day. Those are the UIL rules. Now, here's the big question. Is it antiquated? Is it stupid? Because there are other states that don't have these rules, that they can practice a lot longer. And some of them do. It's been criticized over several years. Why is there a cap? Why is there 8 hours? Why? Trust me, you don't want to go over 8 hours. You don't want to do that again. Not again, but you know what I mean. Directors are so used, especially in the state of Texas, directors are so used to being incredibly efficient with their time because of the 8-hour rule. They know they can't go over. They know. I mean, there's some practices where the practices end abruptly. Like, hey, drum major, dismiss the band. Get everyone the hell out of here. We can't go over 8 hours. Efficiency with your time. Planning everything out. Being on the same page with your staff. That's how so many of these Texas programs can go to national contests and perform well. They're used to it. They've been doing it for years and years and years. You're probably asking yourself, well, who's keeping track of these 8 hours? Who's keeping track of this stuff? Is there some sort of form they have to submit every week saying that, yes, we did adhere to the 8-hour rule? No, there's not. It's basically on an honor system. And you don't see a lot of programs, I haven't heard of really any programs attempt to go beyond the 8-hour rule or try to loophole. I'm like, well, there are loopholes. Don't get me started on those. There are loopholes. But those 8-hour rules, I don't know. It's all about efficiency. That's all you have to do. Plan everything out. You can't fly this by the seat of your pants, kind of like what I'm doing here. Right? No? Not funny? All right, fine, whatever. 8-hour rule. It's legendary. Yes, there have been programs, including my own program, that I wouldn't say necessarily have become a victim of, but have been spied on by other programs. This happened a long time ago, and I want to know if it still happens now. where, all of a sudden you're practicing and you look by and there's like a car sitting outside your practice. And it's a car you've never really seen before. And it's usually towards the end of practice. And sometimes you see, the practice ends and dismiss the program, and you look at the car that's out there and somebody writes something down on a notepad, and then all of a sudden the car leaves. That has happened before. That happened to me when I was a senior in high school. When I was the drum major of the program. It's weird, but people take this thing a little bit too seriously, to say the least. But those are the rules. Basically, 8 hours when school starts. But between August 1st and between that time and between school starts, do whatever the heck you want. Let's figure it out. Good old 8-hour rule. It's legendary, but we love it. So students, some of you all have, like I'm speaking to a class. If you are currently participating in a marching band right now, you're probably extremely very tired because it's very, very hot outside. Actually, in the DFW area, it rained a little bit today. So, you guys got a little bit of a reprieve from the sun. Other than that, you're probably wondering what the heck you're doing out there. It's hot as hell. And now I gotta stand at attention. And now I gotta learn to play this hard music and learn how to move and keep my drill book from blowing up. Oh man, that happened to me. This was before dot books. We had these huge 3-ring binders that had our drill pages in it. It showed you the entire form. You'd find where your dot was, and then you'd mark off how many steps from the front sideline or between the hash and all that stuff. We always called the incident where your drill book explodes. We called it blowing up, because that thing, it was just never one page that fell out. It was like 20 pages that flew out, and they would go everywhere. And then you were the talk of the rest of the practice. You did not want to be the rookie that happened to, because you would never be able to live that down. Not that I know personally. Cough, cough. That was probably my worst memory. Like on the first day that I did. I think it was my sophomore year. Drill binder just exploded. 30 pages flew out. It took me like 5 minutes to get everything back. I looked like a total loser. Best first day memory. It was my freshman year in high school. And this was before we went outside and warmed up and all that stuff. We were sitting in our cafeteria. All the tables were folded up, and we were just basically sitting on the floor. So our director comes out. He's like, "Okay, we got a special treat for you all. We got a friend, director at Cypress Falls High School. He's gonna come out and he's gonna speak to you all about the activity and talk about being positive and all that stuff." And I said, "Director at a high school? You mean someone we're competing against is coming to talk to us? I don't want to listen to him." Turns out that guy was Frank Troika, a very, very a guy I've known for a very long time, and he retired from the game. He used to be a director at Cypress Falls High School. He used to be director at Berkner High School. And he's retired since then, and now he's an educator with System Blue, which is a program that the Blue Devils put on. And he travels all over the world, teaching, doing the whole music education thing. I remember that because it changed my entire perspective on the activity. It used to be one of those things where it was like, even the first day, even before I got onto the field, and was ready to start moving around and playing notes and everything. It was talked up as if, hey, this is everyone else is the enemy, and we got to beat them. And then the first day, this guy that I've never seen before comes in and was like, "Hey, you can only do what you can do. You can't control what anybody else does." So students, I'm talking to you. You can't be about beating somebody. Because that doesn't make any sense. How are you going to beat them? How? What, are you going to put like a hot, what, are you going to tar the parking lot? You going to put Skittles down on their practice field or something? There's nothing you can do about what other programs do. And it's interesting to look at. It's interesting to look at Twitter and Facebook and our Texas Bands forums and look at how some kids, I don't know if you guys are trolling or not, but how some kids think the activity is in terms of, oh, we got to beat this guy, or we got to beat this band, or we got to do this, and we got to, it doesn't make any sense. You are only in control of what you can do. You are only, and if you want to shrink it down even more, individually, you are only in control of where you move, how you get there, and what types of sounds come out of your horn. Other than that, you got to rely on all your friends to do their job too. I briefly worked some marching band competitions, and this was, about 8-9 years ago. And there was one program, and I'm not going to say who they were. And they were at like 2 or 3 of the contests that I helped work. And this one band would come up, and they like part of their attention call was, "What are we going to get?" And they would respond, "First place." What? I get the motivation. I get you want to do as best as you can. But I got to tell you this, some of the best performances I have seen as a fan, and some of the best performances that I have ever experienced wearing the uniform, were competitions that we didn't win. Or there were performances where the program didn't even come close to winning. So when I heard that, it confused the hell out of me. Because this isn't about... it's not about winning or losing. I know that sounds cliche, and I'm sure if you're listening to this as a fan or a parent or a kid, you've heard a director or your director say this 55,000 times. But it's true. If you want to use that you use whatever you need to use as your motivation. But if the program you're trying to beat gets 25th place and you get 24th place, well, guess what? You've accomplished what you said you were going to do. But it may not be as fulfilling as you thought. Just some food for thought. I think I'm done here. Like I said, if you guys like it, please respond on the forums. I don't know. This will be uploaded on SoundCloud. I will post a link in a forum post. I will try to upload this to maybe iTunes or something like that. But, I gotta be honest with you. I took a couple of days off this week from my day job, and I'm being kind of lazy. So, and in case you haven't heard. So, let me know how this goes. You want to hear more of it? Great. If not, then like I said, I'll throw the microphone out the window. It doesn't matter to me. Just something to pass the time. And hopefully I'll see you all again. Thanks for listening. Take care. Adios. Bye-bye.